Hello, I am Tony.
And I am Art.
And we're here from
GardenMastersWithAZ.com.
And today we're going to talk to you about the top 10 fall flowers that are a must for every homeowner.
And the summer flowers are fading
fast.
And it's time to put the last hurrah upon the season.
With some warm fall colors, such as this classic mum here that you've probably heard of before.
Wow, 3 in 1.
Yeah, it's beautiful. However, there are other plants on our top 10 list that you might not be that familiar with. In fact, number 10 is going to surprise you because that's a plant you've probably never heard of before, but that's equally as beautiful for fall. What is it? Well, you'll have to stay tuned till the end when we reveal number 10. This video is not meant as a detailed analysis of every plant. It's simply an introduction to different plants that you might want to try for fall and look into further.
Number 1 fall plant is the classic Pansy, viola. Anyways, these plants, when you plant them in the fall, they will last all the way into the spring.
It's one of the few plants that will overwinter and start blooming again in the following spring because they don't like it hot. They like cool weather, which is perfect for fall, right, Art?
It is. And if you get a day over 50 degrees in the winter, they will bloom.
Look at the beautiful flowers on that.
The flower that blooms during the winter. So,
now you could also plant these in pots, but they won't last until next spring that way. And you could plant them in pots just as an accent plant, which would be fine.
In the fall,
yep.
Yes.
And they come in all kinds of fall colors. As a matter of fact, these have the faces. As a kid, I just love the flower with the faces. Number 2 is the well-known and well-used chrysanthemum, or mum for short. Chrysanthemum moratorium. Now this plant is a beautiful plant for fall, classic example. This one has 3 separate plants in it. There's yellow, there's orange, and there's purple. And all 3 are beautiful fall colors. Of course, you can get plants in a variety of sizes and a variety of pots as well at this time of the year. Now, chrysanthemums are perennials, although a lot of people treat them as annuals. You can plant them in the ground. However, if you do that, make sure that you cut them back as they come up during the year so that they don't get too leggy at the end of the season. But they'll come up, they'll grow, you cut them back a little, they'll grow more, cut them back a little, and they'll start blooming in the fall, which is a perfect fall plant.
Leave 4 inches, they'll grow some, and then cut them back again to the 4 inches, and they'll create this mounding plant versus leggy flowers that lay over. Fall flower number 3, the Aster. Oh my goodness, this plant is so brilliant. It is a perennial, and it will come back every year.
Lots of people use them as annuals though, but it is a perennial.
So, if you plant it in the ground, plant it in a sunny location, and it will surprise you every fall. Late summer into the fall is when it blooms. It is hardy up to negative 30 degrees.
Really? Yes, really.
And in the spring, early summer, you want to keep the plant pruned back, just like the chrysanthemum, so it doesn't get tall and leggy, because they will get this tall and they will flop over to the ground. So
and we don't want that. Number 5 is ornamental cabbage. But before we get to that, we want to make sure that you're aware If you like our videos, you'll love even more subscribing to our free newsletter, Growing Together, where we give out lots of tips and tricks that you won't find anywhere else. So just follow the link in the description or go to gardenmasters.com/subscribe. And you'll also receive a free gift by doing so. Okay, now back to the ornamental cabbage. Unfortunately, we don't have any samples of our ornamental cabbage right now to show you because when we went to the store to buy it, it was really lackluster, didn't have a lot of color, and it's just been too warm, needs colder temperatures to actually produce the great color. However, we do have still images to show you, and to let you know a little bit about ornamental cabbage, it likes colder weather. As I said before, it also can take full sun to shade. It doesn't seem to matter with that, but ornamental cabbage is a great fall plant to dress up your fall gardens. And in fact, it likes cold weather so much, it will withstand the frost. And it'll go later in the season than a lot of other plants. Like if you have a hard freeze, that would probably be the end of the plant. But it will go a little bit longer, and it's a great decorative plant in purples and greens for the fall. So we'd highly recommend you trying some.
Fall flower number 5. Oh, is this a flower? I think it's a vegetable, Tony.
It's a vegetable or a flower, is it?
Yes, it's fall color.
Beautiful fall colors.
It's called the ornamental pepper. Capsicum anumum. I'm sure I didn't pronounce that. It is called capsicum anumum. Anumyum. Anumyum? Yum yum.
Anyway, we found these at a big box store in this little whiskey barrel. It's very, very attractive, isn't it?
It is. It adds some other texture to your flowers in your pots or your fall displays.
So make sure you look for them.
It likes full sun and it's great for containers. Now I'm not sure if I would eat those.
Yeah.
I haven't researched that.
Edible, yay, but very spicy. Blah, you don't want to eat those. The coneflower, Echinacea purpurea, is hardy all the way down to -40 degrees, believe it or not, and it is a perennial that comes back every year if planted in the ground. In fact, the most common coneflower is the pink one. However, over the years, they've come out with new and new varieties. This orange one being one of them. And they can grow up to 3 to 4 feet, even taller. But this one we purchased in the big box store, and it's mainly meant as a specimen plant to just add to displays. These are beautiful Croton plants. These are Crotons, and they are a tropical plant that does well in the south in hot and humid environments. In fact, look at these beautiful, beautiful leaves.
Wow.
Yellow and orange and green, perfect fall colors. But actually, in our area, they're treated as a summer annual. The big box stores sell them. You can plant them in the ground because if you're in a hot and humid environment, they do very, very well, but they won't stand the frost. So the frost will kill them. So right at this time of the year, the box stores, they sell them as specimen plants to use in fall arrangements because they're so folly. So folly.
Folly? Is that a word?
I don't know if that's a word, but they are. Now, we like them on our tropical patio because since they're a tropical plant, they look very, very nice in a tropical atmosphere. But we also like them for fall. So sometimes we'll have some in a fall arrangement. And if you're doing fall arrangements, you can actually try to bring these inside. They will survive as an indoor plant because they like full sun to partial shade, so your house might be a good environment for them, but it needs to be warm because if your house is drafty or cold, they may not do well. This is number 8, another beautiful flower, Celosia argentea plumosa, or dragon's breath. That is the variety of this beautiful Celosia. You may know these as coxcombs, which that's what I knew them as growing up, but they're actually a Celosia. Now, isn't this a beautiful color? It's the dragon's breath, which is this color, beautiful red. It also comes in yellows and other colors. Now, this is a full sun annual. So summer annual that we plant during the summer, and they won't survive the frost, but you'll find these at big box stores in the fall because they just go well in fall displays because of the color of the foliage and the color of the blooms. I don't know if these are considered flowers or part of the foliage, but aren't they gorgeous?
Flowers.
Flowers. So anyway, that's the Celosia, and we'd highly recommend using these in displays.
Crassulaceae.
What?
Crassulaceae.
What?
We want to introduce. I'm still got that crassulaceae on the tongue. We want to introduce you to Sedum.
And actually, I was reading that it was reclassified into Hylotelephium, so we're not sure about that.
The long-lived name of this is Crassulaceae.
But it's
Better
known
known
as
as
Sedum. Isn't this a beautiful fall plant?
It is. This Sedum is doing very well here. Sedum can be grown in, it likes sun, but it can take partial shade. Now, if it's in good sun, it will stand up. If you find your plants falling over, dropping to the ground, it's not getting enough sunlight. Now, Sedum does not like dense soil. It likes a loamy soil. It will not grow well in clay, so keep that in mind. And it likes a well-drained soil.
Also, keep in mind, this is a herbaceous perennial. This dies back every year and comes back and has this beautiful green foliage and then blooms about this time of the year, September, October, which makes it a beautiful fall perennial. Don't you think, Art?
That is correct. If you want to have this sedum blooming part of your fall foliage display, prune it back so up till the month of June, and this will cause more flowers, and it will also have the flowers last longer into the fall. So
get some sedum. You'll love it.
it's also known as stone crop.
Yep.
And sedum comes in many different varieties.
Yep.
We're covering this one because this is one of the top 10 fall flowers. Dun, da, da, da. Number 10.
The one you've all been waiting for. What is this plant, Art?
Millet.
Millet.
Millet. It looks a little bit like corn.
Yes, it
But
does.
these seeds right here are good for bird seed.
In addition, they're also good for humans. It's just another seed that's good for humans. Now, most people don't think of them as something that they eat, but they can be eaten by humans, and animals also forage for them.
So known as Sedum glaucum. Now keep in mind, if this is one of the grasses, it's not a perennial. Do not mistake that. It is an annual, and it is mostly used in fall displays, great for the center of a large pot.
Now, we found this at the big box store this year. They had tons of these, and we noticed them and said, let's investigate this plant more because it's such a neat fall plant, isn't it, Art?
Yes, look at that beautiful dark foliage. Really cool.
It kind of reminds me of corn foliage too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
You think of the Indian corn, this looks like corn, but it has these neat little stalks.
Yeah, now if you want one of these, you're either going to have to plant the seeds in early summer and then harvest them in the fall, dig them up for displays or whatever, or you're going to have to buy them like this at a store. That's really the only way you're going to be able to get these, but I'd highly recommend looking because I'm sure nurseries have them all the time in the fall. I'm not sure about the big box stores because they sometimes have them in displays, but not necessarily just alone. And there you have the top 10 plants for fall that you can add to your gardens or fall displays. They'll certainly make your house more beautiful.
I just want to say, sometimes people will say, I don't want to invest in these plants that are only going to last a couple months. And
if that. Yes. Mums go out in a few weeks.
Yeah, they usually last around 6 weeks.
Okay.
And like we said, the Celosia, that will get hit by frost. But I want to say again, invest in these plants. So many people spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars for Christmas decorations. Just think of this.
That's the truth.
As a fall decoration, and you're going to get a lot of mileage out of it.
Yep. You can subscribe to our Gardening Tips newsletter by going to gardenmasterswithaz.com/subscribe, or watch these other top videos on our channel.